everybody, Mrs. Griffith here. So I tried to find this week's story, which you've probably worked out is Jack and the Beanstalk, but I couldn't find one in my house, but I did find this one. So it's a bit like Jack and the Beanstalk, but it's called Jack and the Incredibly Meanstalk. Oh dear. He's a meanstalk, not a beanstalk. And it's quite funny. I think this will make you laugh. It's a little bit rude, but it's funny. It's a funny story, okay? So when you've listened to this story, see if you can think about what's the same with this story and Jack and the Beanstalk and what's different with this story and Jack and the Beanstalk. I've already found one difference in the title. The title, The Meanstalk, not the Beanstalk. It's quite a long story, so get yourself comfortable. Here we go. Jack and the Incredibly Meanstalk. Once there was a little boy called Jack. He lived with his mum in a tiny flat and he believed in magic. One day, Jack sold their television in return for some magic beans. Jack's mum was so angry that she threw the beans out of the window. Before long, something below began to rumble. "What is it?" said Mum. "An earthquake," suggested Jack. Don't think it's an earthquake. What do you think might have started to grow in Jack's garden? Think about the story. Mum and Jack ran outside. Just as they got outside, a little green shoot burst from the earth. The little shoot became a thin stem, and the thin stem became a chunky stalk. A crowd began to gather nearby. "Fee!" said the stalk. "Fie!" it cried, growing taller still. "Fo! Fum!" it yelled, so everyone could hear. "I smell a boy and his stinky mum!" Jack's mum immediately ran home to have a bath. She doesn't look very happy about being told that she's a stinky mum. Don't think that happened in the real story. "That was a bit unkind," said Jack to the Beanstalk. "Well," it replied, "I'm not any old beanstalk. I'm an incredibly meanstalk, and I plan to live up to my name. Do you know what else I can smell?" "What?" asked Jack. "Your smelly feet!" Ah! The crowd laughed. Jack didn't. "Luckily for me," said the Meanstalk, "I'll grow higher and higher away from your smelly toes." Oh dear. Everybody's laughing at Jack. How do you think Jack feels about that? He doesn't look too happy, does he? Jack felt miserable. He sat with his mum, looking at the space where the TV used to be. He was disappointed that his magic beans had created such a monster. Meanwhile, the Meanstalk grew taller and taller. "Oh, Jack," it teased, "it's beautiful up here. What a shame I'm the only one tall enough to see it." "You could let me climb up," said Jack. "Never," replied the Meanstalk, and it carried on growing and growing. Wow, it's getting very tall, isn't it? I wonder who the Meanstalk's going to see when it grows really tall. Oh, one day the stalk spotted a castle. Whose castle could that be? It's a giant, you're right. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," roared the Meanstalk. "I I detect smells from a giant's bum. The castle's drawbridge creaked and lowered, and a giant appeared. Please don't be mean, he said. It's ever so lonely up here, and I've got no friends. Might you be my friend? Never, replied the meanstalk. And it carried on growing. Oh no. So at the top of the meanstalk is a lonely giant. Who could the giant make friends with, I wonder? Wait, said the giant. Do you know anyone who might want to be my friend? I know a smelly old boy called Jack, said the meanstalk. You two are probably smelly enough for each other. Would you allow me to climb down and meet him? Said the giant. Never, replied the meanstalk. But the giant wasn't ready to give up yet. He wrote letters to Jack and sent little presents floating down from the sky. Oh, I wonder if Jack's going to get them. He's made little parachutes. What to use to make them? Little handkerchief, it looks like. Oh, that's very kind of the giant. Don't think the giant was quite so kind in Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack read the giant's letters and received his little gifts. He wanted to thank him. Please, please, can I climb up to meet the giant? Jack begged. Never, said the meanstalk. Just look at how tall I am. I'm taller than giraffes. I'm taller than the whole rainforest. I'm taller than all the skyscrapers. I'm the tallest thing on the planet. Where's he going to grow next? The meanstalk grew so tall that he soared through the Earth's atmosphere and burst into space. Fee, fi, fo, fum, it cried. Now I'll have some real fun. The meanstalk floated around, drifting between the stars and the planets. After a few days of floating and drifting, the stork suddenly realised how quiet it was up here. Suddenly, it felt very alone. What am I doing up here? He thought. Look at his face. He doesn't look so happy or so cocky now, does he? He started to feel a little bit sad and a little bit lonely. The meanstalk wound its body down and down, round and round, back to the earth, and saw how happy everyone was. They haven't missed me at all, thought the meanstalk. I'm useless. Being mean is useless. The meanstalk poked its head through Jack's window. Jack, it said tearfully, I want to stop being mean, but I don't know how. I have a few ideas, said Jack. Ooh, I wonder what those ideas might be. Look, there's his idea. What was his idea? Who did he invite to climb down the meanstalk? It was the giant. Nice to meet you, Jack. Nice to meet you, giant. Oh, that's kind of the meanstalk. And then look all these things. Whee! So he turned himself into a slide for the children. So helpful. Helped put the fires out. He's a washing line. Very useful indeed. And then some steps. Thank you, meanstalk. All helpful things that he's helping the people. Wait a minute, said Jack. We can't call you meanstalk anymore. You're kind and helpful and very useful. What shall we call you instead? Said the not so mean at all stalk. I quite like the name Stanley. Very well, said Jack. Thank you, Stanley. So Jack and the giant, Stanley and everyone lived happily ever after. And Stanley never called anyone stinky ever again. Oh, what a lovely story. I like Jack and the Beanstalk. I like stories with a happy ending. Most of our traditional tales end with a happy ending, but this one's lovely. So I hope you enjoyed the story. See if you can think about things that are the same and things that are different, because I spotted that fee, fi, fo, fum was the same in both stories, but actually when you think about it, it was slightly different about who said those words. Right, have a lovely week this week. Hopefully see you soon. Stay safe.